Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Eric's UK here. Long time no see. Part of this has been over Christmas with work, making it difficult to find the time to actually sit down and do a vid. Post New Year's, it's kind of been a lack of, not a lack of interest, but a lack of finding appropriate topics and just a general sort of funk that I've been in, which I'm going to sort of talk about today. It's been on my mind for a while, and it's bugged me. So, I've always been a role player. Sorry, forgive the reflection in the glasses. I've always been a role player, and that's what I always wanted to be. I love my Dungeons and Dragons. I love my fantasy role playing. I love, but something has changed. You see, I've been playing role playing games since 1987. So we're looking at, what's that, 10, 20, 30 odd years now. And I've loved every minute of it, pretty much. Bar a few game sessions that didn't go quite the way, Now, mid 90s, there was a chap that we played with, good friend. Was about 15, 16 years older than us, I think. We used to play at his house, and it got to a point where, because he had early starts and he worked hard, it got to a point where he kind of felt that he couldn't keep doing, I won't say we did late night sessions. He used to wrap up sort of like 10, 11 in the evening, but it started to get, that he felt he was beginning to impact on his ability to get a good night's sleep and be able to effectively do the next day. And he still enjoyed it, but it wasn't all that important to him. Probably the easiest way to put it. And he dropped out of the group, and the group sort of carried on in its own sort of way. And I always thought that's really weird. I can't ever see myself dropping out of the hobby, giving up something that I love so much. And I always found that a really weird thing, that someone would do that. Then cut the last several years. And things started to change. There used to be a point in the last 15, 20 years where you get something like a bank holiday or something like that, and someone would go, "Hey guys, shall we do a whole day's gaming, or shall we meet up for a game?" Or and we'd all go, "Yeah." If you wanted to do that now, 90% of the people at the table would probably go, "Well, actually, I've got to check with the missus. Can't that day, taking the kids out." People, lives have moved on. People have got, jobs, they've got careers, they've got families, and that's great. But, I mean, I'm in a relationship. My other half would be like, "Yeah, of course you can. Go off, go do it." She has no problem with that. But it sort of bugs me that we can't just turn around and go, "Hey guys, shall we have a games day? Shall we get some Pathfinder out or have a game of Arkham Horror one night?" We can't just do that anymore. And it's frustrating. Then, obviously, COVID came along, and we couldn't roleplay at all. I just started a Pathfinder campaign based on Spelljammer, and obviously, by the time we came out of COVID, I'd lost the notes for that, or I'd lost the interest in it. During COVID, we didn't roleplay. I ended up playing more Warhammer 40k because I could at least meet up with a friend of mine and we could socially distance across a gaming table in his garden shed with the doors and windows open. And it took watching a video by Ginny D to say about, hey guys, how about we try and play a campaign online? And I ended up playing in a D&D 5th edition campaign. Now, if you've followed my channel for a while, you probably know full well that I'm not a fan of 5th edition D&D. I haven't liked D&D since 3.5. There's a reason I stick to Pathfinder 1st edition. Even Pathfinder 2nd has gone that route of the D&D scaled down, simplified format that I can't abide now. And coming back from that, I tried to run a campaign. It started off great. I had these cool ideas and what have you, but the further it went in, I found that I had a harder time trying to come up with ideas or come up with scenarios or come up with something cool. And obviously, with work in the way, I would do some silly shifts and I'd come home and I would just want to go to bed. And the guys had some ideas for scenarios I was able to pick up and run with, but at the end of the day, I wrapped the campaign up because it just wasn't working. You can see my probably very boring talks about that particular campaign here on the channel. The Chaos and Limbo campaign, sort of like vlog, and you can probably see where probably my interest in it starts to die off. I kind of feel that I've lost my mojo where role-playing games are concerned, and I do blame COVID for this. It's not like it's a skill you lose, but the simple fact that we didn't play for 2 years, I've kind of lost my way. And oddly, I'm now thinking of doing exactly what my friend did all those years back and basically going, I'm just going to stop bothering. And the reason being is that while I couldn't roleplay, I was more than capable of playing Warhammer. And quite frankly, if I turn around tomorrow night and go, hey guys, anyone up for a game? I'm going to get a half dozen people go, I'm free. And I can get a game of 40k in whenever I want, pretty much. Or at least I can book one for a couple of nights' time or something like that. I can always get some wargaming in. You can't do that with role-playing because everybody's got a life. Everybody's got a family and they've got commitments. And while I have my relationship, my work, we don't have kids or anything like that sort of gets in the way. But it kind of hurts me a little bit because I want to be a role player. I want to do all this. I've decided not to quit at the moment. What I've said is that we're playing in a campaign at the moment. My friend Shadbolt has been running over the course of the last several years by COVID. Rise of the Rune Lords, Sahedron Star, and now Return of the Rune Lords, I think it's called. So he's basically doing the trilogy. And I've said that at the end of this, I'm not going to be running another campaign. If we're going to do something, someone else needs to step up and do it, because it does always seem to be myself or my friend Shadbolt that ends up running. Nobody else does. and I want to play for a while. I want to try and get that mojo back. I have a couple of ideas for a campaign to write as I get that mojo. One is a dungeon crawl. I love classic D&D style dungeon crawling. The other guys don't seem so interested on that one, which is a real shame, because to me that's Dungeons and Dragons. That's fantasy role playing. It's a big part of it. I ran it for Pathfinder Society, but Paizo did a super dungeon called the Emerald Spire, and I ran that a couple of times, and I absolutely love it. I love big dungeon crawls, but I've never had the opportunity to play one. I like running them though. The other one is, again, kind of doing what I tried to do with the Chaos and Limbo campaign, which is I'm going to look at a campaign that I really enjoyed running and see what made that work, and look at it and not try and do a reskin or anything like that, but what made that work? How did it flow? Why did it flow? What made it so good? And try and do something along a similar vein. I already have some ideas floating around in the ether in here for that. And it will probably be the one I do. At some point, I might just write the dungeon crawl for my own benefit, and if it ever gets finished, then I might run it. But yeah, I've kind of lost a lot of interest in role-playing. Because we just can't do it how we used to do it. And I don't begrudge people for having, families and relationships and all that. And I suppose part of it comes up with, I'm an old man now. I turn 50 at the end of this year. And I suppose that's sort of weighing on me a little bit. And I'm like, I want back what we had, what made our gaming group and what made gaming so much fun back then. I want that back. It's just not going to happen. And it's really, really it's really sort of grating on me. That's probably the easiest way to put it. I can, as I say, I can get a Warhammer game anytime I want. I can, but something needs to change if I'm going to keep role playing. Either I've got to find people who are. I mean, I don't mind, playing weekly or fortnightly. I'd rather play weekly, but I don't mind something like that. But I seem to have lost. I'm repeating myself, so I apologise. But I seem to have just lost the interest, lost the connection to role playing. But on the flip side, I've gained more and more of a connection to wargaming. Our local gaming store that opened up a couple of years ago. I say a couple of years ago, we had the first anniversary back in November last year. I've played in nearly a year's worth of monthly tournaments, and I'm just coming up to the end of our third store league. I've become much more Warhammer player now than I ever have been. Okay, I'm going to wrap the video up there because I don't really know what else I can say without just repeating myself over and over again. I don't mean to sound like I'm in a bit of a downer, but on some level, I think I am. As I say, I need to find that love of the game again, of role playing, and maybe a new group of. I sound bad by saying find a new group of people because there's nothing wrong with my friends, but And what I need people that can, I'm going to say commit more, if that makes sense. You know, but we shall see. Anyway, thanks for watching. You know, if you have any insights or anecdotes or things to share in regards to that, or thoughts or whatever, drop them down below. And give me a little thumbs up. Makes me happy. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening to this old man ramble. It's been a while in coming, to be honest. But hopefully I want to try and get back into doing some vids at least. And see where we go from there. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. Take care. Good gaming.